In our headlines on this Thursday afternoon, April 25th, here in South Korea. Professors of medicine are stepping down as a month has passed since their tendering of resignations in support of junior doctors protesting government plans to raise medical school admissions quota. Meanwhile, South Korea's economy is expected to have expanded 1.3% on quarter during the first 3 months of this year, according to early calculations by the Bank of Korea. And over in the U.S., President Joe Biden seals a deal that pledges a military aid package worth $95 billion in strong support of Ukraine, Taiwan and Israel. As earlier announced, professors of medicine say their resignations tendered a month ago take effect now. Government officials, for their part, are pushing ahead with their broader healthcare reform agenda. Our Choi Soo-young has the latest.
Medical professors from across the country will leave their positions starting Thursday. According to an emergency committee of medical professors nationwide, professors from nearly 20 med schools in South Korea announced that they will depart from their hospitals as planned, with some leaving on April 25th, regardless of government's approval. It has been 1 month since the professors handed in their resignations. The Medical School of Seoul National University, one of the so-called Big Five general teaching hospitals in the country, said resignations will be carried out based on individual choice, and 4 leaders of its school's emergency council have confirmed they will definitely be leaving from the hospital on May 1st. Yonsei University said that the professors will voluntarily halt outpatient services and surgeries for 1 day on April 30th and will discuss further actions later. And the Emergency Council of Ulsan University medical professors also announced that the university medical professors' resignations will begin on Thursday, and those who are unable to resign immediately will halt medical services for 1 day per week from May 3rd. But emergency and critical care services are not expected to be affected. Meanwhile, the Presidential Special Committee on Medical Reform is also holding its first meeting on Thursday morning. This is the government-proposed social consultation to address the healthcare reforms. The meeting will focus on reducing regional medical disparities, revising medical laws, supporting fees per hospital, and increasing medical personnel. It was intended to have around 26 members, including health ministry officials, doctors' groups, nurses, pharmacists, and patients. However, the Korean Medical Association, the largest doctors' group, and the Korean Intern Residents Association have declared that they won't participate. Also, it is reported that discussions on the current medical dispute regarding the government's plan to expand the medical school enrollment quota by 2,000 from next year will be excluded. The government encourages these medical groups to participate, but they aren't backing down from their demand that the government completely withdraws its medical school expansion plan. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News.
First quarter findings appear to prove the Korean economy is standing on relatively solid ground. Early data by Seoul Central Bank shows an economic expansion of more than 1% on quarter. Our An Sang-jin reports.
The pace of South Korea's economic growth has been picking up. Data from the Bank of Korea on Thursday showed that in the first quarter of 2024, the country's GDP, an indicator of its total output of goods and services, increased by 1.3% compared to the previous quarter. This is the highest on-quarter increase since the fourth quarter of 2021, when GDP grew by 1.4%. It is also a more than 3% growth compared to the same quarter in 2023. Increased construction investment and a recovery in exports contributed to the growth. Civil engineering and building construction showed a strong performance, while exports of IT products such as phones propelled the increase. An official at the central bank explained the reasons behind the growth.
On top of improved consumer sentiment, the release of new smartphone models boosted private spending. However, growth in the construction sector may be temporary, coming from a base effect of low investment last quarter and more construction being wrapped up with the nicer weather. project financing risks still remain, which may bring down the growth.
Both consumer and government spending grew by nearly 1% as expenditure on goods and services such as restaurants and accommodation rose. On the production front, manufacturing went up by 1.2%, with an increase in chemical products and transportation equipment, while wholesale and retail services also saw production increase. The central bank official suggests that external factors could lower economic growth.
With increased geopolitical risks in the Middle East as well as concerns over the exchange rate and oil prices, the final projections for economic growth may be slightly reduced.
As data released on Thursday is the preliminary quarterly estimates, the final figures on the upcoming national accounts may be altered. Han Song-jin, Arirang News.
And Deputy Prime Minister Choi Sang-mok says the government will seek ways to better respond to potential changes in global supply chains given global uncertainties, including the situation in the Middle East. The remarks to this end were shared during an economic ministerial meeting on this Thursday in Seoul, where he also acknowledged Korea's latest economic growth. That being said, Minister Choi pointed to the recent implementation of an accord between Korea and its Indo-Pacific partners on supply chain stability as one strategy to tackle any possible disruption. And regarding first quarter findings in the corporate arena, SK hynix has logged an operating profit amid greater demand for AI chips. Our Shin Se-byuk has more.
South Korean chipmaker SK hynix said on Thursday that it shifted into black in the first quarter of this year, thanks to growing global demand for premium memory chip products. The world's second largest memory chip maker posted an operating profit of 2.8 trillion won, or a little over $2 billion for the period from January to March. It is the second highest quarterly operating profit for the company, following a peak reported in the first quarter of 2018. It also represents a significant turnaround from the operating loss of $2.47 billion reported during the same period last year. SK hynix credits its success to robust sales of its premium products for artificial intelligence, including high-bandwidth memory, as well as a profitable shift in its previously lagging NAND sector. The earnings exceeded market expectations, coming in nearly 40% higher than the market forecast of $1.4 billion estimated by Yonhap Infomax. As for net profit, it came to nearly $1.38 billion, a turnaround from a $1.87 billion loss recorded a year earlier. Sales soared 144.3% on year to $9 billion, marking a record first quarter high. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
In other news, LG Electronics is standing above the competition in the U.S. for washing machines. Consumer Reports has awarded LG products first, second, and third places in all main categories for top-loading, front-loading, and agitator washes. It claimed LG washing machines continue to show excellent washing performance, water use efficiency, and energy efficiency. Consumer Reports evaluates products sold in the U.S. based on consumer surveys. In the U.S., a bill that seeks to support Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel with crucial military aid has been set in stone by U.S. President Joe Biden, as he asserts security in these regions has broader implications. Our Lee Sing-jae covers his remarks.
$95 billion. That's the amount of aid the U.S. is now providing in emergency foreign aid after approval from U.S. President Joe Biden. Of the $95 billion, $61 billion will go to Ukraine. After signing the bill, Biden said while the bill's path to his desk was difficult, but in the end, it did what America always does, rising to the moment to get things done. Biden also emphasized that the aid to Ukraine is not only for the security of Ukraine, but also for Europe and the U.S.
You know, this package is literally an investment, not only in Ukraine's security, but in Europe's security, in our own security.
The signing of the bill also allows for the U.S. to begin shipping equipment to Ukraine, including for air defense tech, artillery for rocket systems, as well as armored vehicles. However, according to ABC News, the United States already provided Ukraine with long-range ATACMS missiles last month, following orders from Biden. The missiles have already been used by Ukraine in their fight against Russia, including in Crimea last week and again in the port city of Berdyansk this week. ATACMS missiles can generally reach distances between 70 to 300 kilometers, enough to hit Russian territory. Biden's signing of the bill comes after the Democrat-majority Senate approved a package that also includes $15 billion in military aid for Israel, $9 billion in humanitarian aid for Gaza and other war-torn regions, and $8 billion in security assistance to deter China's aggression in the Indo-Pacific. The bill was first requested by the Biden administration last fall, but was met with Republican-led opposition in the House before a sudden reversal by House Speaker Mike Johnson. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The Palestinian militant group Hamas has shared a new video of an Israeli-American hostage in a move that Israel has steadily denounced as psychological warfare. Our Choi Min-jung has details.
Hamas has released a new video showing an Israeli-American hostage. The person in captivity identified himself as 23-year-old Hirsch Goldberg Polin. He was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival during Hamas's attack on October 7th. In the video, the hostage says that he has been in captivity for 200 days, suggesting that the video was filmed on the 200th day of the war this week. However, the exact date of filming is yet to be verified. In the video, the hostage criticizes Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the government for failing to save the remaining hostages, as other Israeli hostages have done in Hamas hostage videos. He also says that Israel's airstrikes killed 70 captives in the Gaza Strip. After watching the video, the parents of Goldberg Polin, who've been actively campaigning for the release of their son, told him to stay strong.
And Hirsch, if you can hear this, we heard your voice today for the first time in 201 days. And if you can hear us, I am telling you, we are telling you, we love you, stay strong, survive.
His parents also made a plea to the negotiating parties to get a deal done and end the suffering. Meanwhile, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan called for the immediate release of the hostage.
All I can say is this is an innocent young man being held hostage by a terrorist organization, and he should be released immediately without condition and without delay.
According to Reuters, Goldberg Polin is among the 133 hostages still held in Gaza, after more than 100 were released last year. Israel has been launching assaults on Gaza in an attempt to rescue them. More than 34,000 Palestinians have been killed since the start of the conflict, according to Gaza's health ministry. The United Nations is particularly concerned about the number of children killed. The UN Commissioner for Human Rights says a child is being killed or wounded every 10 minutes. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the leaders of South Korea and Japan should jointly receive the Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts towards peace. Now, this is according to U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell while speaking with the Hudson Institute. He applauded the advances made by President Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida to move beyond diplomatic differences and towards a future-oriented path for regional stability and global prosperity. Noting that they were recently recognized for their courage with a joint award by the John F. Kennedy Foundation, Campbell said the Korean and Japanese leaders' efforts should be further celebrated. A forum here in Seoul back on Wednesday has highlighted the need for tangible steps toward carbon neutrality. The ReWorld Forum, hosted by non-profit SDX Foundation, brought together entities big and small and experts for talks on building partnerships to promote Korea's participation in the global campaign against carbon emission. Pundits say the forum comes amid concerns that Korea's efforts to harness renewable energy to reach global goals may fall short of its advanced partners. In the world of K-pop, infighting between parent company HYBE and the CEO of its subsidiary ADOR, which manages girl group NewJeans, is looking to become quite ugly amid accusations of a takeover and rampant plagiarism. Our Hee-jin explains.
On Thursday, South Korea's largest K-pop agency, HYBE, said it will report the CEO of its subsidiary label ADOR, Min Hee-jin, to the police for breach of trust. In a press release on Thursday morning, the entertainment agency said that specific evidence had been gathered to support their claims that Min had made moves to seize control of the label. This latest action is based on an interim report of an audit initiated on Monday. The conflict sparked on Monday when Min accused another HYBE subsidiary, Belift Lab, of plagiarism due to creative similarities between recently debuted girl group Islet and ADOR's girl group NewJeans. But HYBE said Min's attempt to take over ADOR was planned before Islet's debut, saying it detected attempts from Min and a close executive associate on October 22nd last year. HYBE revealed it has at least 3 digital documents to support their suspicion, including paperwork related to terms for contract changes and plans for attracting external investors. The documents gave HYBE grounds to suspect Min was working on a plan to push HYBE to sell its 80% stake in ADOR or to take NewJeans to form a separate company. According to a source close to Min, the documents were merely personal notes. The audit is ongoing, and if the truth behind the accusations remain unresolved, the case could escalate to a legal battle. As for what lies ahead for NewJeans, one expert said the group already have a well-established concept and color that would not be affected by Min's absence. Industry analysts have also said that the legal noise is expected to have minimal impact on NewJeans' activities, including the release of a new single next month. HYBE has also said that it will continue to care for NewJeans members. Hee-jin, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. We begin today in the United States and protests against the war in Gaza that have spread across university campuses nationwide. Tensions remained high at Columbia University, where U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson held a press conference alongside Republican lawmakers on Wednesday. Johnson said the university had failed to protect Jewish students amid concerns over anti-Semitism and was heckled by students as he told them to go back to class and stop the nonsense. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also weighed in on the same day, saying that anti-Semitism had taken over leading universities. Protests against Israel's war in Gaza have gained momentum at U.S. universities since police clashed with demonstrators at Columbia last week. By Wednesday, they had spread to campuses including Harvard University, MIT, and the University of California, Berkeley, while scuffles with police or arrests were reported at the University of Texas, Austin, Ohio State University, and the University of Southern California. Activists are calling on universities to cut ties with companies with links to Israel's war in Gaza. In Spain, the country's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has announced that he will make a decision on his future by Monday after the court opened an inquiry on corruption claims against his wife. In a statement on Wednesday, the Spanish leader said he would suspend his public duties until next week and that he needs time to decide whether he should continue to lead the government or renounce this honor. A Spanish court said earlier on Wednesday that a preliminary investigation will be launched on Sanchez's wife, Begoña Gómez, to test the claims of corruption against her made by anti-graft campaign group Manos Limpias, or Clean Hands. The group claimed that the 49-year-old Begoña Gómez has used her position as the wife of the Prime Minister to influence business deals. One of the most popular tourist destinations in Italy, the canal city of Venice, will start charging an entrance fee for day trippers from this weekend. The fee of €5, or about $5.40, will be charged to visitors who are traveling only for the day to the Old City, Venice's historical center. Those traveling directly to minor islands, like Burano and Murano, will be exempt from the charge, along with people staying in the city for one or more nights, or those who have a second home in Venice. Locals and commuters will also be exempt. The pilot day tripper fee will be charged to visitors on peak dates, mainly weekends, from April 25th to July 14th. A previously lost piece of artwork by Austrian painter Gustav Klimt has been sold for some $32 million at an auction in Austria on Wednesday. The portrait of Fräulein Lisa was thought to have been long lost until it was found in a private villa near Vienna. It had been hanging there for decades before auction house Im Kinski put it on display in January. The piece was one of the last works Klimt began a year before he died in 1918. The painting was sold to an anonymous bidder from Hong Kong. Kim Xiang, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. We've had cloudy and breezy starts all through the week so far, but we should have the most pleasant afternoon of the week under brighter skies with much warmer afternoon temperatures. And especially those in East Coast regions will notice highs jumping 10 to 12 degrees higher today after mid-teen daily highs. Now the concern is regarding air dust. Well, most places will have decent air quality, but eastern parts of the country could have bad dust levels during the day today, so please have a face mask handy. Now back to today's temperatures. Highs are 2 to 10 degrees higher than yesterday across Korea. And Seoul sees a high of 22 degrees Celsius. Daegu, Gyeongju topping out at 27 degrees. Cloudy skies become much sunnier this afternoon. The warming trend that begins this afternoon should continue through Sunday under plenty of sunshine. Meanwhile, Jeju Island should see frequent rainfall. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
Right, that brings us to the end of our Thursday afternoon newscast. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session, so do stay with us and thank you for now.